In 1954, the CIA overthrew the elected government of Guatemala. The history books call it a Cold War operation. That's technically true. But the reason it happened, the real reason, had nothing to do with communism. It had to do with a piece of fruit you probably have in your kitchen right now. A company that sold bananas decided a foreign president was bad for business, and a government helped them fix the problem. But before we get there, we need to go back. Because this story starts in a jungle 10,000 years ago, and it takes some very dark turns before it ends. The story starts in New Guinea, somewhere between 7 and 10,000 years ago, where farmers discovered rare seedless mutant banana plants growing wild. Here's why that matters. A seedless plant can't grow from seed. So early farmers did something remarkable for the time. They took cuttings and shoots from these mutants and replanted them by hand, generation after generation. In effect, they were cloning bananas thousands of years before anyone had a word for cloning. And every banana of a given variety eaten since, including the one most likely sitting in your kitchen right now, is a genetic copy of those original lucky mutants. You are eating a 10,000-year-old science experiment, and you have been your whole life. From New Guinea, bananas spread across the Pacific and the Indian Ocean, carried by Austronesian seafarers who were among the most skilled long-distance sailors in human history. They reached East Africa, India, and the Middle East long before any European knew the fruit existed. In many of these cultures, bananas became symbols of fertility and abundance, woven into religious rituals passed down through generations. When bananas finally arrived in Europe and America in the 1800s, people had no idea what to do with them. In the 1800s, a banana was an upper-class novelty, foil-wrapped, sold at world's fairs, eaten with a knife and fork at fancy dinners because touching food with your hands was considered crude. Etiquette guides actually published instructions on the correct way to eat one. People didn't know how long they would last, how to store them, or even whether the peel was meant to come off. But there was a problem, a big one. Bananas rot within days of ripening, sometimes within hours in tropical heat. A fruit grown in the tropics could never realistically reach a dinner table in New York, not without inventing entirely new technology, refrigerated ships and dedicated railroads, just to keep up with a piece of fruit. So that's exactly what a small group of American entrepreneurs set out to build. And in solving that one logistical problem, they accidentally built one of the most powerful and dangerous corporations the world had ever seen. In the late 1800s, a railroad engineer named Minor Keith built rail lines across Costa Rica, originally for other cargo, and discovered that bananas grew perfectly alongside the tracks. Around the same time, a sea captain named Lorenzo Baker and a Boston produce dealer named Andrew Preston were building their own banana shipping operation. In 1899, these enterprises merged into a single company, the United Fruit Company, and that name is worth remembering. Because United Fruit was about to rewrite the history of an entire region. Within a few decades, United Fruit didn't just grow and ship bananas, it owned the railroads those bananas traveled on, the ports they shipped from, and the telegraph lines that coordinated it all. In several countries, it controlled more land than the governments themselves. It controlled where workers lived, what they earned, and what they could buy. Because many plantation workers were paid partly or entirely in company scrip, currency that was worthless anywhere except the company store. The company owned the store too. The arrangement was so total that in 1904, the writer O. Henry coined a specific term for it in a short story about a fictional country run entirely for the benefit of an American fruit company. He called it a banana republic. Across Latin America, people had their own name for United Fruit, El Pulpo, the octopus, because its tentacles reached everywhere at once, into the ports, the railways, the newspapers, the courts, and the presidential palaces. A fruit company had become one of the most powerful political forces in an entire continent, and nobody in the countries being controlled had voted for any of it. Here's where it gets darker. In 1928, banana workers in the Colombian town of Ciénaga went on strike against United Fruit. demanding basic rights, better pay, and safer conditions. The Colombian military opened fire on the strikers. How many people died that day is still disputed. Estimates range from dozens to over 1,000, and the true number may never be established. Gabriel Garcia Marquez later immortalized the event in his novel 100 Years of Solitude, writing the death toll as 3,000, flushed out to sea on freight trains while the town slept. That figure is almost certainly an exaggeration. But the fact that a massacre happened and was then covered up and denied for years by both the company and the government is not. Workers fought back anyway. For decades, banana workers across Central America organized strikes and unions despite the near-constant risk of violence, retaliation, and disappearance. They won some concessions, but United Fruit's grip on the region only deepened. And what it did next would change the political map of an entire continent. If you are finding this video interesting, hit subscribe. We cover stories like this every week, and you will not want to miss what is coming next. Now here's the part that most people never connect to a banana. In 1951, a reform-minded colonel named Jacobo Arbenz was elected president of Guatemala in what international observers called a free and fair election. Arbenz had a plan. He wanted to redistribute unused land to poor Guatemalan farmers, land that had been sitting idle for years, owned by wealthy landowners who weren't using it. The Guatemalan constitution actually supported this. It sounded like basic land reform. It was, in fact, a declaration of war against United Fruit, because United Fruit owned vast tracts of that unused land, not to grow bananas on, just to own, to keep competitors out, and to have leverage over the Guatemalan government. Arbenz offered to buy it from the company at the value United Fruit itself had declared on its own tax returns. The company refused and turned to Washington. What followed was a masterclass in corporate influence over foreign policy. United Fruit's lobbying effort in Washington was relentless. The company had powerful allies. The U.S. Secretary of State John Foster Dulles and his brother CIA Director Allen Dulles both had deep personal and professional ties to the law firm that had represented United Fruit for years. The CIA's propaganda operation painted Arbenz as a communist threat. In June of 1954, CIA-backed forces overthrew his government. Arbenz fled into exile. The land reform ended. The unused land went back to United Fruit. And there was a witness. A young Argentine doctor was traveling through Central America at exactly that moment, working in Guatemala on a voluntary medical placement. He had been idealistic, curious, not yet political. He watched the CIA-backed coup unfold in real time. He saw what a foreign corporation, backed by a foreign government, was able to do to a democracy, and it changed him completely. His name was Che Guevara. Within a few years, the world would know him as Che. Think about what that means. The United Fruit Company's decision to overthrow a Guatemalan president to protect its banana plantations did not just reshape Guatemala. Che Guevara went on to become one of the central figures of the Cuban Revolution, fighting alongside Fidel Castro to topple the US-backed Batista government in 1959. That revolution drove Cuba into the Soviet orbit. It triggered the Bay of Pigs invasion. It nearly caused a nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Che himself went on to lead or inspire revolutionary movements across Latin America and Africa, and became one of the most recognizable symbols of anti-American sentiment in modern history. A thread from all of it leads back to a United Fruit banana plantation in Guatemala. Now here's a twist most people don't know. The banana that triggered all of this wasn't the one you're eating today. Before the 1950s, the dominant commercial variety was something called the Gros Michel. Big Mike, by most accounts richer, creamier, and more intensely flavored than the Cavendish in your fruit bowl right now. But a fungal disease called Panama disease spread through Gros Michel plantations across the world and wiped them out entirely. By the 1960s, the variety was commercially extinct. the entire industry had to switch to the Cavendish virtually overnight. And here's the strange detail that tends to stop people cold. Artificial banana flavor, the kind in banana candy and banana runts, is widely said to have been based on the taste of the Gros Michel. Which means when you eat something that tastes like fake banana, you are tasting a fruit that no longer exists. The banana you grew up with is a replacement for something better, and almost nobody noticed when the switch happened. And then there's the chemical story. By the 1950s and 60s, internal research at Dow Chemical and Shell showed clearly that a pesticide called DBCP, sold under the brand name Nirmagon, caused sterility in lab animals. Banana companies, including Standard Fruit, kept using it anyway on Central American plantations for years. In 1977, after factory workers in California who made DBCP were found to be permanently sterile, the US banned the chemical for most agricultural uses. But here's what happened next. Instead of stopping, the companies kept shipping DBCP abroad to plantations in countries where the regulations were weaker or non-existent. Tens of thousands of workers across Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, Ecuador, and the Philippines were exposed, many of them rendered permanently unable to have children. Most were never told why. The legal battles that followed dragged on for decades. Many workers died before any resolution. The same playbook: create doubt, delay action, export the risk elsewhere, that defined the tobacco and sugar industries was running quietly in the background of every banana shipment. And there's one more twist happening right now. The Cavendish, the one variety that replaced Gros Michel, the one filling every grocery store on Earth, is now under threat from a new strain of the same fungal disease that wiped out its predecessor. It's called Tropical Race 4. For years it spread through banana plantations in Asia, then the Middle East, then Africa. In 2019 it was confirmed in Colombia, the first detection ever in Latin America, the heart of the global export industry. There is currently no cure. And because the entire commercial banana supply is a single genetic clone, there is zero natural resistance across billions of plants. Scientists are racing to engineer a resistant variety. So far, nothing has worked at commercial scale. The banana you eat today, the cheap, ordinary, taken-for-granted fruit in your bowl, may not exist in its current form within your lifetime. A 10,000-year-old clone. A corporation that owned governments, a coup that radicalized one of history's most consequential revolutionaries, a chemical cover-up that stole the ability to have children from tens of thousands of people, and a disease with no cure, spreading toward the last commercial variety we have left. All of it hidden inside the most ordinary piece of fruit in the world. If this story surprised you, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden histories behind everyday things. We have got a lot more coming.